What was buried still pulses. There are records that were not written to be read, but to be lived. Fragments that escaped the eyes of history and hid in sound, in gesture, in silence. They were not on the tablets. They were left out, not by chance, by protection. Thoth encoded consciousness technologies that span millennia, but not everything was revealed. Some keys were buried in rituals, angles, frequencies, waiting for someone to decipher them, not with the eyes, but with the body. 11 codes survived, and now they begin to awaken. They are not metaphors, they are practical instruments, keys that reprogram the internal state, restore focus, unlock internal time. They were buried because they could not be contained in words, but they still pulse, and those who listen never forget. Some would call it coincidence, but he knew that symbol did not appear by chance. An ancient fragment wrapped in red cloth with lines that vibrated when touched, and the moment he saw it, something was activated. Not in the mind, in the chest. This is the language that Thoth did not write, the one that can only be remembered, and maybe you are closer to it than you think, because forgetfulness did not begin today. It was sown centuries ago, when the symbol was replaced by the concept, when practice was swallowed by theory, when rituals lost their rhythm. But even so, the fragments survived, hidden not in books, but in patterns, in pauses, in gestures that went unnoticed. Some of them were inscribed in papyri that spoke of healing, but contained instructions that acted in the field of consciousness. Others, disguised in ancient prayers, where the silence between the words carried more power than the entire prayer. They were not on the tablets, they were outside. They were parts that could not be read, only lived. Eli spent years searching, books, methods, masters, but deep down, it was always the same feeling. Accumulation of content, an absence of meaning, until something changed. Not outside, inside. He began to notice when the body reacted to certain sounds, when dreams anticipated the day, when time seemed to respond to breath. That's when he understood the codes are not external. They are active in the field, just waiting for someone who knows how to touch them. And if you feel something vibrating as you hear this, it's not coincidence. It's recognition. We live connected, but separated. Informed, but confused. Accelerated on the outside and exhausted on the inside. We seek techniques, methods, tools, but we remain trapped in the same cycle. We know a lot, we integrate little. The problem is not lack of access, it's excess of noise. And in the midst of the noise, the codes become inaudible. Not because they disappeared, but because our listening was lost. The body tries to warn, chronic anxiety, insomnia, exhaustion upon waking. The mind spins in spirals, but cannot find the center. Time feels short, even on long days. We feel that something is missing, but we don't know what. As if we were outside of ourselves. Eli knew that feeling well. He would wake up in a rush before even opening his eyes. He breathed like someone running, even while still. He was whole, but fragmented, until, on an ordinary night, he had a recurring dream. 3 triangles, overlapping, floated before him. And a voice that did not use words said, "See what is already there." The next morning, he drew what he saw. It was the same pattern that had appeared weeks earlier, engraved in low relief on a forgotten stone in Cairo. This was not coincidence. It was a response. The codes were not hidden out of malice. They were hidden because they require listening, and the world trained us for noise. But there is a point, an exact moment where the sound stops, the mind quiets, and the symbol emerges. That is why this journey is urgent. Because the more we delay this calling, the farther we move from ourselves. You don't need to understand everything now. You just need to keep going. Because the next code is closer than it seems. Now allow each fragment to reveal itself one by one. Code 1. Chronoalchemy, 5 seconds. That was all Eli had before reacting to yet another notification, another demand, another invasive thought. 5 seconds that once went unnoticed, now became portals. Chronoalchemy operates in that tiny space. A 5-second interval that, when activated with presence, can reprogram the emotional state. It's not about thinking differently, it's about breathing differently. Inhale, pause, observe, release. Neuroscience research shows that this microspace activates the prefrontal cortex, reduces impulsivity, and restores cardiac coherence. It's the exact time the system needs to exit autopilot and return to center. In practice, when you feel the trigger, interrupt. 5 seconds, breathe, feel, only then act. Time stops being an enemy and becomes a teacher. Code 2. Syllables of light. 3 sounds echoed like a whisper inside the silence. Eli vocalized them almost without thinking. It was like repeating something that had already been said, before being born. The sounds vibrated in his skull as if they passed through inner portals. Right after came a gentle clarity, not mental, but global. Everything felt synchronized. Science calls this 40 Hz resonance. It's the frequency that unifies the brain hemispheres and sustains cohesive consciousness. EEG research shows that simple vocalizations made with intention can induce this state. These syllables do not carry meaning, they carry tuning. Repeated in a low voice, with eyes closed, they create a bridge between both sides of the mind. Their thought becomes organized, and intuition finally has space to speak. Code 3. Delta diagram in the sand. Eli drew the triangles he had seen in his dream. 3. Overlapping at perfect angles. As he stared at the shape, he felt an unusual focus, as if the image pulled his mind into a goal he didn't know he had. The delta diagram is a geometric tool that acts as a catalyst for intention. The layered triangular arrangement activates deep visual zones connected to spatial memory and goal projection. Visual psychopedagogy and neurodesign already study how certain shapes enhance clarity and mental retention. But in the delta, it's not about remembering, it's about seeing before it happens. Draw the triangles. At the center, place your vision. Let the vertices organize the path. The logical mind doesn't need to understand, because the symbolic field already does. Code 4. Duat root. Eli began to dream of maps. Blue quadrants, lunar movements, non-linear paths. He noticed that some symbols repeated. On certain days, the dreams seemed to anticipate conversations, feelings, even events. The Duat root is a lucid dream mapping technique. Inspired by ancient maps of the Egyptian underworld, it divides the dream experience into 4 symbolic quadrants. Each corresponds to an energetic direction: mental, emotional, physical, and subtle. By recording dreams following this pattern, the next day becomes programmable. The mind starts to anticipate, not react. The night becomes rehearsal, the dream a code. Code 5. Ibis circuit. Eli's steps changed. He walked in silence, counting to 108. With each cycle, his breath adjusted. The body seemed to enter a primitive rhythm. At the end of the sequence came focus, clean, precise, serene. The Ibis circuit is a rhythmic walking technique. Inspired by the sacred Egyptian number and validated by studies on HRV heart rate variability, it enhances states of mindfulness. By walking while counting 108 steps in sync with the breath, the body enters coherence and the mind follows. It is meditation in motion, a return to sacred walking, where each step is a beat of the inner drum. Code 6. Lunar 0. Eli woke up at the exact moment of moonrise. For 2 minutes, he remained in silence. Nothing moved except perception. The mind emptied as if it had been washed clean. The lunar 0 point is a reset. It consists of 2 minutes of absolute silence, aligned with the moment the moon crosses the horizon. This pause, synchronized with the magnetic tide, acts as a recalibrator of the nervous system. It's not meditation, it's presence. It's erasing the board before writing. A wordless restart, the key to beginning clean from the inside out. Code 742. By one key, Eli read the confessions out loud. He felt the weight of beliefs he never chose. Then he wrote just one sentence. It didn't deny, it replaced. And for the first time, something inside felt light. Inspired by the 42 confessions of Marat, the 42 by one key consists of a vibrational replacement process for each heavy belief, a single seed affirmation, but not just any affirmation. It must be stated as a reality already installed. No, I want, I will, or I hope. The sentence must be the now. Consciousness responds to what is, not to what is missing. Code 8. Pyramidal sound. Eli was alone in a stone chamber. He clapped his hands once, at an angle. The sound reverberated in the center of his chest, as if echoing from within. It was more than acoustics, it was resonance. Pyramidal sound is generated by clapping with the hands at a 60-degree angle. This position creates a standing wave that resonates in the chest, activating the thymus and the heart field. The sound enters into resonance with the thoracic cavity, generating a vibrational alignment effect. It is a body code, a reminder that the body also speaks, and sometimes it says the most. Code 9. Substrate language. Eli wrote down his goals, then rewrote them without using future tense verbs. Something changed. It felt like reality was being treated as already completed, and the body responded as if it were true. The substrate language is a timeless writing technique. By writing goals without the future tense, the mind enters a state of fulfillment, and the field responds with coherence. Don't say, I will have peace. Say, peace lives here. Because everything projected into the future is automatically postponed. The code is in the verb, and the verb at the right time is now. Code 10. Gratitude. Fractal 3, 6. Eli gave thanks. First for something simple, then for 3 people. Finally, for 6 small details from the day. By the end of the practice, he felt larger, as if something within had expanded. The gratitude fractal follows a sequence, 136. This progression simulates a logarithmic pattern. Gratitude grows, and with it, the vibrational field. Neuroscience has already proven that gratitude releases dopamine and serotonin. But here, the form also matters. Gratitude in fractal pattern is like a mantra that replicates itself. With each cycle, something expands, until the whole world seems to give thanks with you. Code 11. 777 ceiling. Eli sat in silence. Inhaled for 7 counts. Held for 7. Exhaled for 7. He made the gesture just as he had dreamed. Hands sealing the center of the chest. There, a pulse. The 777 sealing is the final key. It combines rhythmic breathing with a specific hand gesture, activating the body's toroidal field. 7 counts, 3 cycles, 1 gesture. This is the point of no return, when intention stops being an idea and becomes a pulse. Whoever reaches this point does not activate a code. They activate themselves. The final portal did not require logic. It did not ask for effort. It asked for surrender. Inhalation in 7. Retention in 7. Exhalation in 7. Eli made the gesture, hands touching the center of the chest, sealing the intention. There was no thought, only pulse. A toroidal field seemed to emerge from the body, as if the air around him had gained form. It was in that instant that he understood. The codes were not outside. They never were. They were reflections of what the body had always known. But the world's noise silenced the memory. The gesture created nothing. It only sealed what was already vibrating. 7, 7, 7. The trinity of time. Inhalation past, retention present, exhalation future. Everything merged. Eli wasn't thinking about explanations. He was just feeling, as if language were no longer necessary, as if symbols had turned into breath. You don't need to understand everything now, but if you've come this far, something in you has already begun to remember, because knowledge is not accumulation, it is return. And what was encoded never stopped vibrating. Everything that has been revealed so far may sound symbolic, but this is not just about ancestral language. There is science behind the codes. Chronoalchemy, for example, acts directly on the prefrontal cortex. Neuroscientists have already shown that conscious 5-second pauses reduce amygdala activity and restore emotional balance. It is the minimum time necessary to interrupt an automatic pattern and redirect action with presence. The syllables of light are no mystery to EEG studies. Research reveals that specific vocalizations can induce 40 Hz coherence between the brain hemispheres, the frequency associated with unified consciousness and mental clarity. Scientists like Linus and Tonon have already explored this frequency as one of the foundations of integrated perception. The IBA circuit, with its 108 steps, echoes findings in HRV heart rate variability. Research, rhythmic walking, combined with conscious breathing, enhances physiological coherence and promotes states of deep focus, according to studies from the HeartMath Institute. Their body and mind enter into resonance. The lunar 0 point acts as a reset for the autonomic system. Studies show that scheduled moments of total silence, especially in low-light conditions or during natural transitions like moonrise, regulate neurotransmitters and reduce beta activity in the brain. The substrate language is supported by cognitive psychology. Formulating affirmations in the present, not the future, reconfigures subconscious behavior. The mind works with images, and images anchored in the now create real emotional responses. I will be is postponed. I am is activated. Even the 777 sealing, with its 7-count breath cycle, aligns with cardiorespiratory coherence practices. Studies show that rhythmic breathing in stable cycles increases heart rate variability, strengthens the immune system, and stabilizes the personal electromagnetic field. These are not just spiritual codes. They are hidden engineerings of consciousness, technologies of the body and mind which science is only now beginning to decode. Thousands of years after Thoth left them scattered through time, the greatest technology was never external. It pulses in the rhythm of your breath. It reveals itself in your subtlest gestures. It organizes itself in the silence between one thought and the next. These codes are not beautiful ideas. They are practical instructions. Each one is a door, and the only key is your willingness to walk through. Don't wait for an ideal moment. The moment is now. Change begins in the invisible rituals, the pause before the response, the words spoken with intention, the step taken in rhythm with the heart. These fragments that Thoth left outside the tablets were not hidden by chance. They were left where no one would think to look, within the body, within time, within experience itself. Applying these codes is a gentle act of rebellion against forgetfulness, a reminder that there is a deeper architecture sustaining your existence. And it does not require faith, it requires presence. As Terence McKenna said, what we call reality is just a convention of collective perception. May these codes remind you of what you already know. May each breath reposition you in your center. May your life cease to be a search and become a language. You didn't receive 11 codes. You recognized what has always been vibrating there in the silent center of your being. Forgetfulness was a cycle. Remembrance is a calling. If this content awakens something in you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. In the comments, write, "I recognize what vibrates within me," and help keep this knowledge alive in the collective field. Share this video with someone who needs to remember what they already carry. And now, click the screen to watch another transformative video from Transcend. Because those who have learned to listen to the codes have already begun to redesign their own destiny.